Hello, everyone, and welcome to Why You Should Try. My name is Aaron, and this is my first video where I will be trying to take something that's really popular in what I call nerd culture and explaining it as best I can for someone who's either interested in trying something because it's so popular or interesting, or they have a loved one who's really passionate about it, and try to explain not just the gist of the story, and a little bit about the fictional world that each thing is, but rather, what draws people, why people tend to like it so much, why I myself enjoy it, and why I think you should give it a shot. Um, so I thought I would start with Star Wars, both because people in my personal life, friends, family, etc., are kind of interested and wanting to hear my take on things, like why I love it or why their loved one does, and also because it is literally and arguably the biggest fictional universe in current culture. So if you're still interested, sit tight. I will do my best to try and make this interesting while I talk. Okay, so Star Wars in of itself is a classic good versus evil story. Where at the very core of core of the universe is this conflict of between good and evil from two sides. These sides are the Jedi and the Sith, who are both religious orders that have major influence on the universe around them. They both believe in a higher power that is called the Force that connects everything. And there's a light side of the Force that brings life, joy, love, and creation. And then there's a dark side, which is filled with destruction, hate, ambition, power, that sort of things. And so this universe is all about being connected to this force, and how different people and different things, no matter how small or where they come from, have a major impact on everything else. So the origins of the Star Wars universe comes with the original movie that came out, also known as Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. Now, there's a lot of technical and real life reasons on why New Hope is the start of the universe, as well as a great starting point for anyone who's interested. You see in front of you the poster with the main characters. The guy looking directly at you, played, of course, by young Mark Hamill, is Luke Skywalker. He is a lonely farm boy who wants to, leave his hometown planet, which is nothing but a desert, and travel the universe and fly in spaceships like his friends. And he ends up meeting friends and later family who kind of show him that there's more to the universe than what he realized, as well as that he actually means a lot more to not only himself, but the greater universe and galactic society itself. At this point, he lives in a universe ruled by one evil galactic empire that is the classic authoritarian, controlling everything, fall in line or we'll kill you sort of thing, ruled by the Sith from behind the scenes. So very familiar to a lot of other stories. Real life example, World War II, you could look at the Nazis versus Europe and America. Lord of the Rings, you have the Dark Lord Sauron's army trying to take control of everything and, in a sense, overpowering a lot of the other races for most of the journey. So a lot of familiarity there if you're into those sort of things already. Now, like I touched on, it is mainly a story about good and evil and how every one and everything has an impact on something or someone else in the universe. So there is, of course, space, science fiction technology. There's mystical knights that come from the religious orders I mentioned, the Jedi and the Sith. Down here is their code, in which what makes them different, about how they view things. As any religious groups, there's a very philosophical side to things, and a lot of it is actually really applicable to like real life beliefs, values, religious cultures, things like that. And over time, as the Star Wars universe developed, more and more stories and literature have been created for it, exploring these different philosophies, these different beliefs, how there's not really nothing is in black and white, hence why you see this, though I think it's currently still non-canonical gray code, but that's a whole nother issue. So the point being is Star Wars is filled with a lot of themes that are very familiar from other stories, both in real life, history, and anything else that you can name. So some of the more major themes that people tend to gravitate towards or notice is, of course, on the right hand here you see the cool spaceships and giant robot tanks, essentially fighting each other in space, making cool explosions, flying, as you would, kind of like a fighter race in the military. You see the evil Imperial troopers who serve as the oppressive bad guys who kill people. They bring trouble wherever they go, their way or the highway, that sort of things. And of course, heavily touches on politics and its role in formulating all these events. And of course, for those of you who like more of romance, Star Wars does a lot with love and relationships, and how it can be very difficult to engage in personal relationships, express your feelings, and how to deal with those feelings, as there are many things in your life that may limit one, your thinking, and two, what you can and can't do. So for example, these two characters is Anakin, this is Padme, his wife. They are forbidden lovers because he is a Jedi, and in the Jedi code, they're not supposed to have earthly attachments, kind of like in Buddhism. They're supposed to just be like one with the Force, and when you have attachments, it leads to the dark side, which is all about being self-serving, engaging on what you find passion in, and taking control of anything by whatever means necessary. And there have been many stories that within Star Wars itself that play on this beyond these two characters. But it's very applicable to real life relationships, issues with like your religious beliefs versus your feelings, and just something that I think we can all learn from. Although in all honesty, I think we could all learn from Star Wars or any story if we just take the time to just think how it relates to ourselves. So of course, in Star Wars, you see this in marketing, all the cute aliens and cool robots, Baby Yoda here, bringing up a whole new fandom just by how adorable he is, even though, he's actually one of the newer characters and his real name is Grogu. Now, these guys are all very important, not just for kind of the story or building the universe, but, they make it a little comical, they bring some relief, and they um, also kind of express how even if there's someone or something that's completely different, even animals or maybe even fictional robots can still express meanings, emotions, and behaviors that are impactful to others. And that we should all be more open to, meeting new forms of life and new kinds of people and relationships. Biggest thing here, though, if you like cute stuff, Star Wars has plenty of it. And it's overall meant to be family friendly. It's not something where, you have to wait till you're like 15 to watch or enjoy it. They make sure to pepper in fun things, for kids to like. I mean, who wouldn't want a baby Yoda or a cool robot companion as a kid? I mean, I certainly wanted my own R2D2. Now, one thing that often stresses people out is where to start, what to watch. A lot of times you'll hear fans get very heated about how you should start things, make it kind of like homework, and telling you have to watch everything. I will tell you that while I too am kind of guilty of this, you don't have to watch every single thing to know what's going on in Star Wars. Just like with any movie or TV series or book series, the more material you see or hear, the more you understand references, the more you understand certain relationships and how things are the way they are. So what I recommend is starting with the movies, preferably the core 9 movies. And then if you really like it or you want to know more, giving the stuff like the animated movie and the animated shows a try. I'll be honest. So I'm 26. These animated shows kind of came out when I was like 14, 15. And at first I was hesitant to watch them because they were kind of cartoony and, I was trying to grow up a bit, deal with my own insecurity. But when you go back and you actually watch them, they take on a lot more serious and more adult themes. Not saying they're still like they're no longer watchable for kids, but there's something that many adults can not only understand but find and be like, wow, this is very easily expressed of deep concepts that you would not expect in a kids cartoon. And they are very, very impactful on the rest of the series and even events in the movies. For example, the stuff that happens in Star Wars Rebels brings up some characters in The Mandalorian, like when you meet Ahsoka Tano, who is a major character that comes in here, or anything about like the Mandalorian's culture. A lot of what we know from it came from Star Wars Rebels, more so than the movies. And of course, Star Wars The Clone Wars as well. So a lot of people, especially when they're trying to tell people to watch The Mandalorian, emphasize watching The Clone Wars and Rebels first, so you have more of a background on The Mandalorian. I agree with that, but at the same time, it's not necessary with the way Disney did it, but it does make it more enjoyable in my opinion. So this chart is how to watch it in chronological order, as well as with specific episodes of the Clone Wars that this person thought you should definitely watch. Now, I grew up watching the original trilogy, 4, 5, and 6, and then episode 1 came out when I was a kid. So I grew up the old-fashioned way with date of release. But I understand that, even looking back at old, movies and series, even well established, can be very difficult especially when you didn't see them when you were young. Like for me, I really just can't get into Terminator or the Aliens versus Predators because as a kid I didn't really watch them. So now as an adult, I'm like, I just it doesn't do it for me. So if you want to start with episode 7, for example, of the new, and do 7, 8, and 9 for the new trilogy, I think that is totally fine. But if you do like the series, you're going to want to go back and watch 4, 5, and 6, and 1, 2, and 3. Because a lot of 7, 8, and 9 kind of, well, it does encompass everything that came before it. Now, 4, 5, and 6 are, in a sense, the core of the universe, simply because aside from being the first in movies in the universe and establishing a lot of what we already know, it also is kind of where a lot of things in the universe kind of intersect and, reach the climax, so to speak. So going back to that idea of like everything connecting to one another, it all leads up from this core series of events and these characters like Luke Skywalker and his friends fighting the Empire. So personally, I would recommend starting with the core, so you understand like the major conflict, the state of the universe, how things are viewed, and then go back and watch 1, 2, and 3, because 1, 2, and 3 are about not only Luke Skywalker's parents, but it gives us more information on what the Jedi Order and Sith Orders were like before the events of episodes 4, 5, and 6, how events in these movies led to the circumstances of 4, 5, and 6, and how they continue to play a role. And then, of course, 7, 8, 9 combines all that and takes it a step further. And the thing with what is called the sequel trilogy of 7, 8, and 9 is right now these are putting us in the fandom in a new area in which we don't really know what the next stage is. Like for those of us who grew up when 1, 2, and 3 came out, we kind of knew, okay, we have this start, and then 4, 5, and 6 was the end, and then the rest is our fantasy, and now that fantasy leads to 7, 8, 9, and now we're in a period of what happens next after this. So yeah. Now, Star Wars is of course huge, and a lot of people are dedicated, and you might be like, okay, yeah, so there's all these themes, there's all these good and evil stories. It's accessible to anyone of all ages, and there's a little bit of everything. Why are fans so happy and into it? And the short answer is because they feel some personal connection to it. Whether you see like yourself fighting to find your place in the world and wanting to be part of something greater, wanting to defy the negative pressures and wishes of those above you, or have some sort of power over you to be your own person, or just the fact that despite all the awful things that are going on in the universe around you, you still not only matter, but you may have a greater strength that you have yet to unlock that could change the universe. I will tell you, for me growing up and even today, when life was kind of crap and I didn't like a lot of my life circumstances at the time, Star Wars was not only an escape from reality for me, but it was a personal comfort. It taught me many lessons that I found applicable in my life and in my studies. It helped me think about my own values, my own beliefs, and just kind of be more creative about how I look at things. For some people, the characters themselves are kind of like the friends that they wish they actually had in their lives, you know, especially when you're a kid who's being bullied frequently and you feel like you're alone in the world. Um, these stories, these characters, much like any other good, well-made story, you know, can mean the world to you. Um, and what some people don't understand is when, you know, you're a fan of something like this and you have someone who may not know as well, and you see references or things and they want to talk about it. It's not that they want to like um, make sure you know everything so much as we want to express that, you know, there's so much more to this. We know this person or fictional thing. We love it. We are happy that we know it. We're excited that we can share it with you. And um, it's so cool that it's being brought up here. Now, for me, I am very guilty of this. I love references. I love episode 7. It's probably my favorite simply from how it references literally so many things from all over the Star Wars universe. Um, I always like a continuation of a good story or thing. Um, so I hope this helped you understand why Star Wars is so popular, what some of the more common things are, as well as why people tend to gravitate to it. The other thing too that I just want you to understand is it is an ever evolving universe. If you look long enough and hard enough, you can find that Star Wars touches on literally everything or nearly everything. And if for some reason it hasn't tackled an issue, it absolutely will in the future, because it is just something that between the fans and the people who make it, there's room to add more and more. So thank you for watching. Let me know if you liked it or if you want to see more, and have a great day, and may the force be with you.